Well, hi there. I'm going to show you how to do my ingot stitch. This is it right here. Get closer so you can see it. That's it. Quite a nice tight stitch. It looks like this on the other side, so it's smooth against you, however you're using it. It can be done in the round or as a flat panel. I specifically usually use it as a flat panel because the nice thing about it is it'll go straight and never have a slant to it, even if you go really, 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 really long. Okay, so the yarn I'm using is, I love this chunky yarn, and I thought I was going to remember the color, but I didn't. So the color is Sunset. Okay, there you go. There's the Sunset colors. It's a chunky yarn, number 5. It's 100% acrylic, and you get it at Hobby Lobby. For how thick it is, it's about the same thickness as Charisma from Michaels, if you're familiar with that yarn. A little bit softer though. Okay, and the loom I'm using is a 3/4 inch loom. This particular one has 40 pegs, and I'm using 10 pegs for the swatch, and so with 10 pegs I get it this wide. Okay. All right, so let's get going. Now, this is just a stitch video, so I'm not going to tell you what the project's going to be, take you from beginning to end or anything like that, but so you don't have to wait for me to do a project, I am going to give you tips to use it. So all I did was a chain cast on, which I'll have linked on my channel, and then I did 2 rows of owl eye before I started, and I'm doing an owl eye border. I have lots of videos on owl eye, but I'll be using owl eye in this stitch pattern, so you'll know how to do it anyway. Okay, it doesn't curl if it's done with just an owl eye border around it. It doesn't need very much not to curl at all. Okay, so it's 3 rows. Row 1 is owl eye. And I'll show you how to do the borders because we'll be going past the borders a number of times. But to start the owl eye stitch, you do a U-wrap on the peg. And then you come around and do a wrap in front of that peg and the next peg. Knit them off, and that leaves 2 stitches on that peg. And then whatever peg you're on is peg 1. So we go in front of 1 and 2. I hope you can see the yarn is green, but I guess it's a light enough green it's not showing up that well. And we knit them off. And we're on number 1 peg again. We go over 1 and 2, knit it off. On peg 1, over 1 and 2, knit it off. We're on peg 1, we go over 1 and 2. Okay, and I'm doing owl eye right to the end, even over my 2 marked pegs on either end, because we're doing an owl eye border, so we just go all the way to the end. Okay, just like that. And you keep this nice and loose. Okay, now we're going to do row 2, which is owl eye again. So we just keep going. Whatever peg you're on is peg 1, over 1 and 2. Okay, now if you were ending an owl eye row and you weren't caring about that, you'd put another wrap over it and just do that. I'm going to show you how to do just the owl eye edge for when we do it with another stitch, not owl eye. So you just go over it in a U-wrap, first peg, come back around, over both. You come back around, keeping this nice and loose. And then you do your second knit on this one. Always 2 knits on a peg. Okay, so that's row 1 and row 2. They're both owl eye. Now we're going to do row 3. So this is the owl eye edge. They'll always be owl eye, both of these edges, both of these pegs here. And this one's going to be stitch 3. And the stitch we're doing here is purl over. This was named by Theresa Higby. She's the one who originated the stitch. Now it's called purl over, but it's not done like a purl. If it was a purl, you'd have your yarn down at the bottom here, but instead we're going to go up like a knit. So this is how you do a purl over. We're going to get nice and close. You're going to go over in front of the peg like you're doing a knit stitch. Then you're going to go under it and take the yarn here and then scoop up this working yarn and just flip it over the peg and then tighten it slightly. And it should look like this with 2 little wheelie things here and a bar. Okay, so you go over like you're doing a knit. You come under, you scoop it up and flip it over and just snug it up slightly. Okay, so that's all there is to it. Now, when you get doing it quite fast, you can go over and come and scoop it up, and you can usually just flip it over like that and tighten it, unless you've got a hard yarn to work with. Okay, so it becomes very easy to do. So again, when you're doing a purl over, you come over like a knit, then you come under, scoop it up, and just flip it on top and snug. And then the last one, come under, scoop it up, whoops, and in that case I'm splitting the yarn somehow. Come up, there we go, I got it that time. Flip it over and snug it. And then to do the owl eye edge, we go over in a U-wrap, knit it, come over both of them and knit. And keeping this edge really loose, you can even loosen it up and knit it. Knit them both. Okay, now the thing is, we can look at what the edges look like when we're doing them the way I'm doing them, and they look nice and tight. Even though I'm doing it so loose, it's a nice tight edge. And you can look at this one. See, they're nice tight edge. It looks like kind of a braided kind of look. Okay, and we can take a look at this, and you can see how much it's grown just doing those 3 rows. Okay, so now we start on row 1 again, and you'll notice that because we have the purl over stitch here, it's going to feel a little different, because when you do it, it'll be a little tighter with this first stitch, but you just work it over. And if it's too tight to go over, you are tightening these too much. Loosen up. Start loosening up. We go back over and over 1 and 2. And they should come over as easy as you see me taking them over. If they don't, you are making them too tight. You just take the slack out when you tighten them. You just tighten them slightly. And see how fast I'm doing this, even over the purl over? So you should be able to do that. If you can't do that, loosen it up. Now, how do you loosen it up? Well, next time you do it, be a lot looser. You'll struggle the first time, and then after that, loosen it up when you're working. So now, because we're doing owl eye, we go right to the end in owl eye. keeping it loose, and you can even loosen it up a little bit if you're tight knitter. Knit over, and row 2 of owl eye, and then this row is easy because you've done owl eye the row before, and you keep owl eye nice and loose. Now if you watch, I'm going to put it over, I'm going to show you how loose I am. See, I'm loose. This is loose. Okay, not doing it tight, I'm doing it nice and loose. Just so it's very easy to knit, saves me from getting carpal tunnel syndrome. And then this will be the 2 rows of owl eye, and we're going to go right to the edge because we're doing the owl eye edge. Now the cast off that matches the cast on will also be linked on the channel, so you can do a cast off that matches. I think I forgot to mention that. Okay, now we're going to, now I think I forgot what I was doing. So here's what you can do when you make a mistake. You just take off the stitches and come back and put them back on the loom. And then I'm back here. I'm going to do the owl eye edge again. Never worry, just stay calm if you do that, and just go ahead and do it again. Nice and loose, and come back. Yeah, because I'm talking, trying to keep it in the camera, and I lost track. Okay, so I'm going to complete the owl eye because now I'm going to do row 3 again, and this time I'm going this direction. So when I go this direction to do it, same thing, I go over as if I'm doing a knit, come in from the bottom. I'll see if I can get a little bit more light here. I really want you to be able to see, or take away a little light. I really want you to be able to see this, and this now the green is an even lighter green color here. Okay, so go over and go under, scoop it up, and flip it over. Okay, go over in a U-wrap, come down from the bottom, scoop it up, and flip it over. Okay, so over, come down, scoop it up, and you can pull it right out as far as you need to and flip it over because you're going to tighten it anyway. Just snug it up. And you just snug it up. See, mine are nice and loose. Not too tight. That's the secret. You get it really tight, you'll be struggling to knit it. Okay, so that's how you do the purl over. And come over, knit it. Just like this. We're doing the owl eye edge. Nice and loose to come back. And then we'll be going back to row 1. Put the second stitch here, but I don't need to because row 1 is going to be owl eye, so I'll do the second stitch when I go do owl eye. Now we can see how this is gone. It's a really, really pretty stitch. And because it's this tight weave like this, it works great for anything you want a tight weave like this for. And it will go straight. It will never, never curve. And the reason for that is the 3 rows. So owl eye is always balanced by going this way and that way, so it will go straight. And then the purl over comes in, and the purl over is alternating because it's every 3 rows. So there you go. There's this stitch, and as you see, it's nice and straight. Doesn't need any purl, any real purl, because purl over isn't a purl, as you saw. Not even related to purl. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have fun with this stitch. I do have patterns coming up with this stitch in it. So I thought I better get the stitch video out. So there you go. And until next time, bye.